Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're actually playing the Sistine Chapel, the creation of Adam. And when you've got like such a title for a puzzle, like I really couldn't bring myself to try and create some sort of, 3D style picture to represent what we have going on in here. In fact, the constructor, Will Power, when he posted the puzzle, even had a reference to this particular image. Thankfully, the image is in the public domain. I'm free to use it, and that's exactly what I chose to do here. Now, when I actually bring up the puzzle, I am just going to jump straight to it, because it is, in itself, its own piece of art, for sure. Will Power has essentially managed to recreate almost the creation of Adam with, I imagine, this is sort of Adam, as he can sort of famously think of it. This is meant to be God, and kind of reaching out and touching Adam's finger. Now, I'm not too sure about what the reference is for the blue here, but my thinking is this is sort of somewhat deliberate, because if you look at the image, it's sort of almost like a separation between the two. Not entirely certain, but Will, what a phenomenal construction in a small amount of space, trying to represent everything that's going on here. So, Sistine Chapel, Creation of Adam by Will Power. Let's take a look at the rule sets. We've got normal Sudoku rules apply. That means place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, in every column, and in every 3x3 box. That's a 3x3 box. Now, this is predominantly a thermometer puzzle. So we've got thermometers and killer cages. The thermometers, numbers on a thermometer increase from the bulb end. This would be representing a bulb. Imagine this is basically a physical thermometer, and the numbers have to increase from the bulb end. If this is a 2, this would have to be 3 or higher. If I continue 4, 5, it doesn't have to be consecutive, mind you. This, I guess, would have to be at that 4, a 6, etc. What I cannot do is go back down to a 3. That is no longer increasing from the bulb end. It also doesn't have to be consecutive. Nothing stops me from having 3 with a 5 here. That's 6, that's 7, for example. Nothing wrong with it being non-consecutive, as is the case here. Now, what I'm kind of interpreting, the two different thermometers end at row 4, column 4 here. So this thermometer ends in this cell, and this thermometer, you can see, ends in this cell. So I think Will is basically almost like colored all of the different thermometers just to make it a little bit easier for us to distinguish them. But, this cell here is the end of this thermometer, and it's also the end of that one. Lastly, we have killer cages. So numbers in a cage sum to the number in the top left corner of the cage. So if this cell here, if that was a 2, this would have to be an 8 to make sure that these two cells add up to 10, which is the sum given in the top left corner. These two cells have to be 11. These two cells have to be 12. Relatively straightforward set of rules, but I'm still really looking forward to it. I mean, there is a story about kind of my family and I visiting the Sistine Chapel. We accidentally ended up in Mass held by the Pope because we're just following the crowd. And we ended up there not realizing that it was actually being held, not realizing that there was actually a ceremony that was actually going on at that time. And yeah, a story for another day, I think. So if you want to visit the Sistine Chapel, admire the creation of Adam from Michelangelo, or just play this particular puzzle, link will be in the description down below as usual for you to play along. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. Now, this kind of raised leg knee, I'm just thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is forced. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. Easy start. I'll take it. 12. Now that the 3 is gone, this is either 4 and 8. And I know the order because it still is on a thermometer. So we need 2 cells that add up to 12. The next possibility would be 5, 7. And there are no other possibilities because of thermometer. This cell has to be smaller than that. And if I go any higher, I will reverse the order and break the thermometer. The 11 cage, well, it's not 2, 9, it's not 3, 8, it's also not 4, 7. This is 5, 6. And this 5 here gives us an order. That's a 6, That's a 5. That's therefore 4 and 8 to make that a 12. These are 7 and 9 respectively for us to be able to complete box 4. This cell here, we know it's bigger than 5, and it's not 6 or 7. It is in fact 8 or 9. So this is going surprisingly smoothly, which, yeah, I think it's appropriate to say surprisingly smoothly because that is not expected. Will is a phenomenal constructor. He tends to have lots of tricks up there. So let's think about this thermometer next. The fact that this can be, well, it's a minimum of 8, but that's not a 7 because of the 7-9 pair. So the maximum this can be a 6, 5, 4, 3. So there are some degrees of freedom. Not that many, though. And that's a full pencil mark of all the possibilities, at least on this side of the thermometer. It gets, I think, pretty ugly as we go down that leg. 2, 3, 4. This is 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that is a lot of options. 3, 4, 5, 6. And I assume this is, well, it's not 4 or 5. This is 6, 7, 8, or 9. Now, if you look at row 4, we haven't written in, oh, I was going to say we haven't written in 1 or 2. That's not true. We do have a 2 that needs to be in one of these 2 cells. The 1 is done. The 7, 9, I don't know why I didn't see this, is looking at this 8, 9. That's an 8. That's it for the moment. This 5 in the same box, again, I'm just not paying attention. No 5s in here. So in addition to the 2, the 5 must be there. Right now it seems like it could be in any cell. Sorry, I'm just getting distracted. I'm kind of looking at this and I'm thinking this feels tough, and my mind is already wandering to elsewhere in the grid. And I'm looking at box 2 and I'm thinking, actually, this is more restricted than it may seem. And I'll explain why. So whenever you think about 10 cages, one thing you know about them for sure is one of these cells has to be low, one of these cells has to be high. So it's, 1, 2, 3, 4, as in the loads digit with its respective 7, 6, 7, 8, or 9 to make sure that these 2 cells add up to 10. So essentially, 1 low digit, 2 low digits. Well, I can't have 3 low digits, so this is at least a 5. And because this is a maximum of 9, maximum of 8, this is actually a maximum of 7. 6, 7, 8, and then 7, 8, 9. But then this is sort of chaos, really. I can have whatever I want in here. We have 2 high digits, 3 high digits. I mean, technically, I can have a high digit in here. It's just very unlikely. Let's keep this going. So this cell can be a minimum of 1. That can't be 2. It can't be 3. It's a minimum of 4 now. It's not 5, 6. This is a minimum of 7. 8's already placed. That's a 9. That's a minimum of 9. That's also a minimum of 7 and a maximum of 7. I'll take it. That's a minimum of 4 and a maximum of 4 because 5 and 6 are gone. Yep. That can't be 2, can't be 3. It is, in fact, the maximum at the same time. Highly unexpected. The 4 removes kind of, I don't want to say a degree of freedom, but kind of. That's a 9. We've got 9s lining up. Just classic Sudoku, that's a 9. And then to complete this, this is a 2, which gives me a 1 in here. That's forced. This is 3, 4, or 6. It's not a 4. So this is 3 or 6. That's not a 9. Essentially, I have 3, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, a lot of degrees of freedom. Not too sure. We'll keep going. This can be 3, This can't be 4, that's a minimum of 5, and this could be, of course, the next one up, that's a 6. Now, because of the 7, 8, 9, that's a maximum of a 6, which kind of restricts this, because this can't be 4, and it can't be 6. It can be 5, however. This is 3 or 5. 5 or 6, and then from the 6 we can just go to town, really, with 6, 7, 8, 9. I haven't really tried to pencil mark these. I don't know if it's useful just yet. Well, like I said, things started to get tricky. Not necessarily a bad thing. This is actually like between 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is actually surprisingly restricted. In general, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, and not 4. This is 5 or 6. So some of these thermometers are really helpful. They restrict the cells enormously. Not 1, 9, but I mean, I can do 2, 8, 3, 7, 4, 6. It's not a great cage just yet. You could see that this is a minimum of 4. This is not 5 or 6, but 7, 8, or 9. This has a huge amount of freedom, though. From 4, it can go 5, 6, 7, or 8. This is not the way to pencil mark these. Right, I really need to sort of kind of admire the construction a bit more and just think about what is it all meant to say. So 7 is in one of these 3 cells. Now I'm pretty sure it can't be on one here because that's a maximum of 7. 7, 8, 9. Now because it's not on these 2 cells, it's in fact in here. That's a 7. Removing 7, 7, and 7. That gives me a 3. We knew this was not 7 or 9 already, though. So this is either 2, 8 or 4, 6. And it can be seemingly in any order. 4, 6 doesn't work. That would make that a 3. That would make that a 6. Sorry, a 3 again. So that breaks. So this is 2, 8. And that's forced. 3, 4, 6, 5. I haven't written in a 1 yet. That's a 1. That means there is a 1 on these 2 cells. That can only be this cell. Sorry, excuse me. I'm coming down with a bit of a cold. Give me a moment, please. I'll be right with you. Right, sorry about that. The change in weather here really caught Mr. Sleuth and I off guard. Right. The 1, the 2 is forced. That can only be in here. This is essentially 4, 6, or 3, 5. 4, 6, well, that's the only place for us. Oh, hang on. No, we've got a few more things that we need to place. So I've got a second 4, 6, which is clearly not a 6. And a second 3, 5 because of this. So 3, 5, 4. Only place for a 4 is here. This is another 3, 5. That 4 bounces back up and gives me a 6 in here. And that gives me a 3 down there. That now allows me to place a digit, which is, I'm going to say 5. Gives me a 6, gives me an 8, gives me a 9. We know these 2 cells now. They are 4 and 9 in some order. This is looking very restricted. It's not a high digit. 6, 7, 8, 9 are all placed. This is 1, 2, or 4. It's not a 4. So it's 1 or 2 with 8 or 9. That gives me a 7, 8, 9 triplet. This is a 1, 2, 3 triplet. That 1, 2 gives me a 3. That's not a 3. That still is 1 or 2. We haven't really removed a lot of degrees of freedom from this. So there's still quite a few here. And I did say I haven't pencil marked this. What about here? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a high digit. It is not a 9. This is 6, 7, or 8 with 2, 3, or 4. And there's nothing restricting it. 5, 6, 6, 7. It's not a 9 anymore. That's 6, 7, 8 because of this 9. I feel like I'm jumping all over the place, and I don't know if that's the intention here. I think much more likely there is a more systematic approach than what I'm doing, but I'm not seeing it. So feels like a bit of a clumsy solve to me, but so 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That means all of these are low digits. This is not 4 or 3. That's a 1, 2. That's a 1, 2 pair. That's a 2. This is a second 3, 4 to complete row 8. That removes the 8 as an option from the 10 cage. It's almost adding up to a triplet here between these 3 cells. Almost, I stress. One is one of 2 cells. Where does 2 go? It's kind of anywhere really in this row. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, still, actually the 9 as well is one of 2 cells. Nope, not seeing it. Time to look elsewhere again. Right, back to this that I've not really pencil marked. The 8 and 9, sort of helpful in that it puts a ceiling of 7 in there, but a 6 in here still gives me a ton of freedom. That is still 3, 4, 5, or 6. I see nothing stopping me from doing basically the same. 4, 5, 6, or 7. So yeah, I can understand why I haven't pencil marked it. It's not adding much for me. Come on, Sleuth, what's going on here? Have a look. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is very restricted. This is 4 or 5. Before I forget, I'm going to just do some of these. Not sure it's exactly easy to forget. 1, can this be a 1? Yeah, that would be 1. That won't be 1. That would be 1, 1, 1. All looks good to me. And again, this can be 1. It can be a lot of things, really. It's highly unrestricted. So 8 is in one of 2 cells. I don't get how that helps me. So I'm going to think out loud for a moment. I feel like what I'm looking for is loose digits. You know, seeing things like 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 all lighten up and having a very restricted digit in here. I'm sort of wondering there is more of these that I kind of need to spot to make progress. That's the best idea I have. How about 6? Looking at a 3, 6. That's 3. That's 4. That could have only ever been a 5. That means that is a 6. That's not a 6. This is 7 or 8. That 6 gives me a 7, an 8, a 3, a 4. Yeah, Sleuth. Just look at the clues that you've written down. This is 3, 5, or 6. This is, neither of these are 7 now. That is helpful here because it removes a degree of freedom. None of these are 7. 7 is now restricted to one of these 3 cells. That means that's not a 7. Can't be 8. That would be 8, 9, and breaks this cell. So now we're talking, that's 4 or 6, and it's not a 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and not 5, and maximum of 6. So low digit, low digit. Yeah, still not enough. Also low digit. Again, not enough. Low, low. So I need 4 low digits in this box. Can't be 5, 6. One of them here, because that would break this cell. So one of these is a 4, making this not a 4. So far, I've identified 3 low digits. And the fourth one almost certainly is going to be one of these two. I say almost certainly. 1, 2. Because if it's not one of these two, how many low digits can I have? I could have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I could basically have 2, 3, 4 with a 1. Or obviously the 4 could be here. It's just this is either a low digit or 5. Which I think is helpful, isn't it? Let's just think about options. I'm going to pencil mark it for a second. It's 1, 2, or not 3. And it's not 4. We've determined why it's not a 4 or 5. And between these, it feels like I've almost restricted it. It's not enough still, amazingly. So very close. Same with the column. This is a triplet, this 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are 7, 8, 9. That 7, 8 gives me a 9 down here. Not a 9, is a 9, is a 1. Need a 1 up here now. Not a 1 again. This is 7 or 8. This is 7 or 8. It's again, not quite a triplet or quadruple. But that is a triplet now. That is 7, 8, 9. That is not 7, 8, 9. What is it though? You see, the question I'm sort of in my mind is it 5 or 6? Because that would really help me with all of the rest of the box. All of these being low and this being a high digit is unlikely, because that would be 4, 2. This would have to be 3. Presumably this would be 5, this would be 6. I mean, 6 is gone from this as a possibility, given that is the ceiling. It's still possible. I'm liking this puzzle. It's sort of fighting you every step of the way, but very interesting. Where does 2 go in row 7? It can only be in here. This is another 7, 8. To complete this, this is 5 or 6, as in complete the box. Got 7, 8, 1, 2 pair, 5, 6. That 6 was there for a while, gives me a 5, a 6. That 5, yeah, does, I mean, brace for it, given we're talking about Sistine Chapel and creation of Adam. Almost God's work here. 4, 6. That's 6. No, not enough. Because I was really thinking we've nailed this. Again, not quite. That 8 gives me a 7, an 8. That 7 gives me a 9, a 7. Because that can't be a 6. And we already knew that. 6, 7, 8, 9 in here. Come on, Sleuth. This, unfortunately, is not 1. But it can be 2, 3, or 5. Which is a 2, 3, 5 triplet. That's an 8. That can't be 5 anymore. That's 4 or 6. That 8 gives me a 7. 7. A 9. A 4. A 6. 8. 2. 3. Not 2. Not 3. That's a 5. That's a 1. That's a 2. That's a 1. 2. 9. We must be able to solve this. Yeah, that 5 here gives us the 3, the 2. We know what this is. Literally, that's a 5. That 6 gives me an 8 in here. That's not a 3, that's 5 or 6. 5 or 6, the second 5, 6 in that column is in here. Can't be there because of these two. That is a 4. No, 4 is in here. That's a 7. That has to be the 2. This is the 3, the 5, the 6, because of the 6. This is a 7, and if I've not made any mistakes, for the finish, a 5. What a beautiful puzzle, Willpower. It's just, I don't think there is anything unusual about it. I mean, first off, just bravo on the painting and the reference. But I think it's just the fact that you kind of have to pull out all the stops with the thermometers, the killer cages, the classic Sudoku to try and actually make progress. And I think it's the kind of thing that generally I'm not great at, because I tend to focus on the variants, then come to classic. And the more I sort of come across puzzles like these, where you're having to do classic Sudoku throughout, I think the better I'm getting about these sort of fusion puzzles. Hope that you guys enjoyed the video and the puzzle. It's almost a kind of puzzle that you should almost post on a Sunday just because of the references. But enjoy the weekend ahead, and I'm sure there'll be a few tough puzzles around the corner for you guys to get stuck into. Bye-bye for now, and take a look at some of the other thermometer puzzles that I'm going to put up next.